Hello, I'm Hunsaker. I've been asked just to share a few thoughts with you about healthy relationships and how they work, and maybe even a little bit about communication within relationships. So today I'd like to start with just sharing with you what I call the relationship pyramid. As you travel in the desert, or travelers travel in the desert, and they see the pyramids, they often see the very top. And that top is beautiful and wonderful, but not realizing that truly the top is held up by a massive foundation. One that has held those pyramids up for thousands and thousands of years. There's a reason the pyramids have lasted as long as they have, and it's partly because of their design. Large base, smaller top. So let me share with you just a few thoughts about as you enter into relationships. And this isn't just about specifically always just dating, but it's a little bit more towards that. But it does work also in almost any relationship you have. The very bottom part of the pyramid, which is the largest, must be based on what we call friendship. Friendship is developed over, of course, a period of time, and that is what the next level is time. When you spend time with somebody, that friendship becomes strengthened. I mean, all of us have friends, and those friends know us, they know us really well, they know our quirks, they know the silliness about us, and they still like us. Isn't that pretty awesome? Well, when you're trying to get in a relationship with somebody that maybe is potentially towards marriage, hopefully you can accept each other in your strangeness, your quirks, and the various things that we have. And so that friendship has to be really strong. And then once there's friendship, that time continues to be a part of it. And the more time that's spent, that allows the friendship to continue to be strengthened. Well, the next level of the pyramid is what we call understanding. When you spend enough time with somebody, you come to understand why they do what they do, or why they feel the way they feel. And there's a great power in that. So we go friendship, we go time, we go understanding, and then when there comes understanding, almost automatically, there'll be what we call respect. You start to respect that they really have come from the difficult maybe situations, or maybe various circumstances or situations that they've had in their life, and you go, wow, they're amazing from where they've come from, or wow, they're amazing from what they've learned from their experience. And so the more you understand somebody, the more likely you are to have a respect for them. Well, the beauty of the next step is, when you have respect for somebody, the next one is restraint. Now, restraint can be in a various, how do I say this? Restraint can come in various forms, okay? We could talk about physical restraint, we could talk about emotional restraint, we could talk about communication or restraint within it. And all of those work because we will restrain in judging, we'll restrain in even the physical part of the relationship if it becomes a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship. And when we do that, there's this wonderful principle I've come to love, and that is righteous restraint increases love. When you can restrain yourself in the areas of the physical or judgmentalness or things of that nature, you're more likely to start to have feelings of kindness and love and goodness for people. So the very top part of the pyramid, which this would be in a dating relationship, of course, we call romance. Now, the romance is not just the physical side, which we often think romance is the physical side only, but romance has to do with, the word I like to use is intimacy. And intimacy means that you're willing to share things with people, you're willing to be more vulnerable, you're willing to be more open, and yes, there is the physical side with maybe the kissing and things of that nature. If you've started with a friendship, you've spent enough time together, you're willing to understand each other, the respect starts to come and there becomes restraint, then the romance becomes the pinnacle of the relationship, not the basis. But what I've watched is a lot of people, they invert the pyramid and they start with romance. It's kind of like this. You'll go on a date and you'll come home and your roommates will ask you, most generally, not always, but most generally, the very first question you'll be asked is, did he kiss you? Or did you kiss her? Now you want to think about that. If the very first thing that you are asked is the physical part of your relationship good, you've just inverted the pyramid. And as you look at this picture of this inverted pyramid, you take all those other things, understanding and time and friendship and restraint and respect, and you don't even know where to put it. Because you've started with this little tiny foundation. Look at this now, it's the peak. So your whole entire relationship is based upon this little tiny base, which is romance. where if you keep the pyramid as it should, you have a huge base to build upon. But there's also some kind of fun with that. If you invert the pyramid and you start with romance, and you look at these steps that they go, so you have romance, restraint, respect, you've got understanding, time, and then friendship. Basically, if you choose to start with romance, you'll end up in the friend zone. Now, none of us want to end up in the friend zone. But often, if you start out on the physical side, you haven't put all those other things in order. So what I found that those that have healthy relationships, they literally build a relationship upon a very strong foundation. It's part of the reason I'm a fan of hanging out. I'm just not a fan of you staying in the hanging out. From the hanging out, there should be dates. There should be the chance to spend time and start to have the understanding, like we've said, and respect, restraint, and finally romance. Romance should be the smaller part of your relationship, not the larger. Because then when that happens, let's say you've been dating for a few weeks, and you start to feel some respect there and some restraint for them, because you know that this person has feelings and emotions and whatever else it may be, even maybe some struggles with previous relationships. And you keep the kiss till later on. When you finally do kiss, there'll be a meaning behind it. Because I don't believe that people that are kissing on the first date, that it's out of love. Because I don't think you've been together long enough to know if there is really true feelings there like that. But when you spend enough time together, the kiss can mean something. And often it'll be a kiss that's more restrained, not one that is there to satisfy your lusts. I found those that seek to satisfy their lusts in their relationships end up hurting the relationship. Those that restrain themselves and have the physical be based upon a desire to express love, not to get something out of it, their relationships seem to truly flourish. That doesn't mean you'll marry them, but what's nice about that is, if there is a breakup, it won't be as hard. And let me tell you why. It won't be as hard because it isn't based upon that physical, emotional part that connects to it so tightly. It'll be based upon a friendship, and an understanding, and restraint. And when that's there, then when you break up, you can have your value not connected to how they feel about you, but your value based upon knowing who you really are. Now, to me, that's critical. And so that's just a kind of a nutshell of how the relationship pyramid works. But let me add one more part. Often young people will say to me, I'm having problems with my relationship. And I'll say, what do you mean by that? And they'll say, we just can't communicate. And I'll say, tell me what it means you can't communicate. And you know what, most generally, they cannot tell me what they mean by they can't communicate. I'll say, what, do you not talk to each other? Can you not express your feelings? And they're like, well, I don't know, we just can't communicate. Well, let me share a quote with you that'll help you understand this just a little bit. Words do not convey meaning, they call them forth. I speak out of the context of my experience, and you speak out of and you hear out of the context of yours. That is why communication is so difficult. So let me put that into a simple form. Let's just use the word love. If I ask a person sitting over here, say, what does love mean to you? They may say it means physical attraction. I may ask a person over here, what does love mean to you? And they may say it means sacrifice. As one of my students said once, I said, what does love mean to you? And the first word that came to their mind was difficult or hard. So let's say that this young man that says love means difficult, and there's a young woman sitting here that love means tenderness and kindness or respect. He says, I love you. And what he's saying is, this is going to be difficult. She, from the context of her experience, goes, oh, so sweet, so wonderful. They think they're communicating. They think they're on the same page. But he has spoken from the context of the experience. She has heard from the context of hers. And literally, they're not communicating. So one last point. To me, this is one of the best advice I give you when it comes to relationships. If you go into every date with a desire to serve the other person, you're going to find that your relationships are strengthened right off the bat. And when you want to serve somebody, it's unselfish. Because I found that number one problem of all relationships that don't work is selfishness. So if you learn to date unselfishly, court unselfishly, or become exclusive unselfishly, and marry unselfishly, you're going to have phenomenal relationships in your life. But if it's about you and about selfishness, life will become very difficult. I hope that's helpful today, and hope you have a great day. Thanks for listening.